Hello and welcome, it is I, MrSnake, and you as always are an amazing subject with exquisite taste and hypnotist. So I'm just back from my vacation, so I figured let's get ourselves into a nice little relaxed state. Don't listen to this file if you're driving, operating machinery, or if there's something you need to focus your full and complete attention upon. Only listen when it's safe and appropriate to do so, and only listen in a place where it's safe and appropriate to do so. So having said that, let's begin. Just get yourself nice and comfortable and relaxed. If you need to adjust for comfort at any time during the trance, that's perfectly okay. I want you to focus on your breathing, becoming more aware of the rise and fall of your chest that naturally happens all by itself. And I want you to pay attention to sound. I want you to pay attention to your environment. If your eyes close or if they're already closed, that's perfectly okay and part of the process. I want you to pay attention to my voice, pay attention to the words, pay attention to the sounds I make, the suggestions I give, and pay attention to the space in between the words. Pay attention to the tone of the words. I want you to pay attention to the length of the words, the duration of the words, but focus more upon the silence and the space and the gap in between the words and the sentences. And it may be that you start to notice a pattern, or you may notice a particular word recurring, you may not. You may notice instead that some sentences aren't completely finished, some sentences may have a word missing that I let your imagination fill in, and that's okay. Pay attention. Back to your breathing, pay attention back to your breathing, and pay attention to the muscles in your body and how they're relaxing, but don't forget to pay attention and focus upon the space between the words. And you might notice that maybe there's not much space between the words at all, and they just seem to go into a complete flow state where you just keep listening and the words keep coming and the space is less and less and shrinks. Or maybe the space between the words starts to increase. Maybe time is slowing down for you, and even though I'm speaking at the same similar pace, it might be that you notice that it seems as though there's more space in between each word. Or maybe they just speed up again, and so the gaps in the time and your perception of time is throwing you off, and perhaps there's no particular rhythm at all. Sometimes there may be big gaps between words, and other times there may be none at all, and it just seems to flow by so fast, so very, very quickly. And it might well be the case that because you've been paying attention to the gaps in the sounds and the words and the suggestions, and your breathing, and how your body feels, that maybe it's just too much for your brain. It's a little bit of an overload. Maybe you're struggling to find the gaps, maybe there are no gaps, maybe it just keeps coming and going. And that's okay, you don't need to actively pay attention to the sounds, do you? I think you do. But then again, maybe you don't need to pay attention to the sounds, to the words, to the spaces, and the gaps between words. And that's okay. You don't have to. But you want to. And you love paying attention. You love listening to my voice. You love my voice giving you commands and suggestions. You love to follow along with those words and suggestions. You can pay attention to how much you love listening to the sound of my voice. You can focus completely on the sound of my voice, how much you love the sound of my voice, and maybe that you're a little bit addicted to the sound of my voice. Maybe you just think about going into trance and how each space between each word is literally leading you closer and closer to being in hypnosis. And then you realize that maybe you're already in hypnosis. It may be that you're so deep in hypnosis that you haven't paid attention to the fact that you're in hypnosis and that you were going into hypnosis, and now that you are completely in trance, and that's okay. You can just relax. You don't need to think or say or speak or do anything except listen to the sound of my voice. And you can still pay attention to the spaces between the words that fill your mind. As each word resonates deeper and further within your unconscious mind, you can just sink down, drop down, fall deeper and deeper into trance. Because that's what I want you to do. And doing what I want you to do, well, that's such a pleasure for you. You love going into trance for me. And that's okay. I love the fact that you love going into trance for me. Pay attention to how much you love going into trance right now. Focus your full attention and awareness on exactly how much you love going into trance for me right now. Pay attention to exactly how deep you've gone. Pay attention to how good it feels to be so far gone. To become more blank, maybe you become more empty, maybe you become more filled with desire, maybe you become more filled with the experience of trance than you've ever been before. As you drop further, deeper and harder, as you slowly sink or maybe suddenly drop deeper down and down deeper, with every word I say, and with each breath in, and every breath out, listening to the words and the spaces. That's right. Now what you might notice is that the space and the gap between each word is kind of like a vacuum. A vacuum that just kind of sucks you down deeper and further into trance, with more space and more emptiness between words. Maybe that emptiness kind of represents the fact that each space is just sucking a little thought out of your mind completely, as though each gap between words makes you go even deeper than before, so that each gap between words and sentences reinforces how deep I'm bringing you right now. And if you can imagine your mind as being like, I don't know, space, where each little thought or synapse or neuron is kind of like a planet or a star, maybe a cluster of thoughts is kind of like a galaxy, maybe a complete idea is like a solar system. If you imagine all of that inside your mind, then you'd realize and understand completely that there's so much space between each thought. There's so much space and distance between each firing neuron within your mind. And that space is just bringing you deeper and deeper into trance. The distance, the space, the lack, the nothing, the complete, almost emptiness between each neuron and synapse and word feels so good. And it's almost kind of like your mind's becoming spaced out just by thinking about space and distance. And in the vast infinite of space, things that kind of look close are actually greatly separated. There's huge swathes of distance, just like in your mind right now. There's a huge distance and space and emptiness between thoughts, just like there are between words right now. And so the more space that there is inside of your mind right now, the better you feel. And the better you feel, the deeper you want to go. Listening to my voice, obeying my suggestions, your mind becoming blank and empty, becoming a void, devoid of thought, right here, right now. And in this singular moment that stretches on and on and on, as your mind switches off and off, and just in the same way that you could maybe picture light inside of the universe, you must fully understand the concept of complete darkness. And if maybe, in your mind's eye, you can imagine being in that complete, comfortable darkness, absent of light, absent of thought, apart from what I tell you to think right now. And the gap between words is increasing, and you're going deeper and deeper into transforming, relaxing so much, physically, mentally, and emotionally, that you go so deep. And one of the amazing things about being in space is that when you're out there, floating and drifting, there really is no up or down. Doesn't matter if you move left or right. It makes no difference, conceivably, in what direction, whether you float up or down, or stay stationary, completely still. The only thing that really matters is the sound of my voice in your head. And everything is relative. Everything is entirely linked to your experience here and now, deep and transforming. Space between thoughts, space between words, space between suggestions and acceptance. And you can easily accept the space between words. You can easily accept how good it feels in your trance, in your way, right now. My words resonate deep within your mind, deep in the recesses and the vast space of your unconscious mind. And doesn't that feel good? To just kind of float and drift as you sink and drop. Words and spaces. And you need the words. And you need the space. And so this is your time to allow yourself to become wrapped and comfortable in the space, in the words, and in the sounds that take you deeper during this session. you can just bask and radiate and savor everything about this trance right now. Space between your thoughts, space between my words, the easy acceptance of my suggestions, and of course in space there's great distance between objects. The distance between planets, satellites, the distance between stars, the distance between solar systems, the distance between galaxies. And in your mind right now, there's so much space between words and sentences, ideas and thoughts. So it seems that they're not really linked at all. And so you could just float right now, calmly, serenely, and emptily, as my words partially fill the space, which makes you pay even more attention to the sound of my voice, the words that I say, and the words that I don't say, in the suggestions I make. And you can use this time, and you can use this space to just be, to simply exist, to feel amazing, to feel so calm and feel so relaxed. No need to think, say, speak, or do anything. And it may be that you don't remember anything about this trance, or it may be that you remember everything about the trance, and either is good. Both are fine. So you can remember to forget the trance, or remember to forget the trance, or remember everything at all. The only thing is that you enjoy the trance, and you can come back and listen to it again at any time it's right. Safe and appropriate to enjoy this space. Now in a few moments I'm going to count from 1 up to 5, and when I reach 5 you'll be able to come out of trance completely relaxed. 1, feeling so good. so calm, so relaxed. 2, beginning to come up out of trance. 3, freed of any suggestions that aren't right, safe, or appropriate. 4, you may want to wiggle your fingers and toes, stretch and yawn. And 5, opening your eyes, coming up out of trance completely, feeling amazingly calm and relaxed. And as always, I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank you for your continued support. And I hope you have an amazing week. And I'll talk to you soon.